everyone. Welcome to episode 41 of Takeaways. My name is Patrick Searcy. I'm the Director of Marketing for ALN Apartment Data, and I'm joined by the actual star of the show here, Jordan Brooks, who's our Senior Market Analyst. Jordan, how are you?
I'm great, Patrick. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We're here to talk about the final article for our newsletter series this year in 2023, and it's called Final Look at 2023 Price Class Performance. So one area that I noticed that you didn't touch on was regional or market level observations. Was there anything that stood out in the data from that perspective for Class A or Class B properties?
At the market level, there were some interesting notes that we just didn't have space to get into the newsletter. I think first of all, the sort of usual markets that you would expect to be at the top of the list for net absorption were generally there. And specifically for the Class A and the Class B subsets. So markets like Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Tampa, Seattle, Denver, Phoenix, Nashville, these type of markets that have done well over the last few years relative to other markets or going back further and have also done well sort of at the top of the market from a price class perspective. A couple of markets, though, that are not so often up there. LA kind of moves in and out, but LA was a top 5 market through November for Class A net absorption. And another one would be Philadelphia, which we don't typically see that as high up the list, and Philadelphia is also in the top 5. Now, what's interesting about those two markets is they were at the top of the list for Class A demand this year, but they were outside the top 25 for Class B demand. So it didn't translate down to the Class B demand. It was specifically within the Class A, whereas a lot of those other markets that I mentioned, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Seattle, et cetera, also were near the top of the list for Class B as well. So a little bit of a dichotomy there. And then just one other quick observation was that a lot of the smaller markets, when you adjust for size, market size, showed up at the top in terms of Class A, Class B demand this year. So Little Rock, Arkansas, Savannah, Georgia, Richmond, Virginia, markets like that.
You briefly mentioned a couple of times in the article the unusual nature of the scale of new supply coming into the market outside the top 2 price classes. Can you unpack that for us?
I really think this is one of the really interesting developments that happened, particularly in 2023, but we also saw some last year as well. It was really a 2023 phenomenon, though, which is, we're sort of at this late period of the construction boom cycle now that really began in the back half of last decade. And as you get later and later into the cycle, we're expecting decreases in deliveries, 2025, 2026, something like that. But 2024 is going to be another active year. And with year after year of really steady deliveries for multifamily and increasing deliveries, you find that the delivery activity starts to move out from, first it's a concentration of markets, and then it's more markets, and then it's less concentrated by submarket within markets. And what we find now is that, a lot of these more outlying submarkets around the country have seen increased deliveries in the last year or two. And so what that's done, because of the way that ALN calculates our price class, which is, it's based on a percentile rank of a property's average effective rent per square foot, which we weight across the unit mix. So it's entirely based on price on rent. And so what that allows us to pick up is, because we're not, heavily weighting year built, for example, in the price class designation, it allows us to pick up properties that are new properties, certainly nice properties. They're brand new multifamily properties. But because we're looking at where they rank in their market by rent, what we've seen in the data is that more and more properties have come into the market outside of that top tier, the Class A, top 12% of properties by rent. And so, the good side of that is that, we're always talking about in multifamily, how do we get new supply outside of the ultra premium price point? We actually have seen that this year, a pretty stark increase in the number of units coming in as a Class B or even a Class C. And a big part of that has been where these new properties are coming online. And so just to give a couple of quick examples, New York, Austin, Dallas, and Phoenix in particular have had a pretty good amount of Class C units coming into the market this year in terms of new builds coming in as a Class C, which is outside the top 32% of rents in their market. And if you look at the submarkets where the majority of those units are coming online, for New York, it's sort of the outlying areas that actually cross the New Jersey border and the New York MSA. For Dallas, it's the Grand Prairie area. For Phoenix, it's the Goodyear area. Um, in Houston, it's the greater Katy area, Cinco Ranch. So it's these more outlying submarkets within a market that are starting to get new supply, and because they're not the most expensive submarkets, they're not the uptown, downtown, or something like that. We're seeing them come in at a little bit of a lower price point. So to kind of to put a bow on that, one of the main things we've seen in 2023 is a fair bit of new supply coming in outside that premium space.
Well, let's talk about upcoming events. It's now closing in on the end of the year here. What do you have coming up?
Not much. The rest of December, no speaking events, and then January got nothing public so far, and then I'll be at the NMHC annual meeting at the end of January. So any viewers of this that are planning on being there, definitely say hello if you see me.
All right. Well, keep an eye on our blog for more content that'll be put out on there. It's alndata.com/blog. You can also keep an eye on our social media for more info, not just on what Jordan's up to, but what our company's up to, the events that we're all going to, and just generally what's going on. You can follow us on Twitter at ALN APT Data. You can also find us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or Instagram. Just search ALN Apartment Data. Make sure that you click that notification bell, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything. And Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Appreciate it, and we'll talk with you next month.
Thanks, Patrick. See you in the new year.